the forgotten world of Han Dynasty China, and more. Welcome. Take a slow breath and allow your mind to settle like dusk over the Yellow River. Tonight, we journey not into legend, but into the gentle shadows of history, to a time both disciplined and delicate, woven with order, silence, ink, and silk. This is Han Dynasty China, not the thunder of Qin's unification, nor the golden fanfare of Tang's poets, but the calm, bureaucratic heartbeat of Han, a dynasty of farmers and courtiers, of scribes and dreamers, of jade tombs and whispered rituals. Close your eyes, if you'd like, and imagine yourself far from this moment, where screens of rice paper flutter in the wind, where inkstones cool by candlelight, and where the weight of empire is carried not by heroes, but by the quiet rhythm of millions of hands. As always, we will move slowly, unhurried, each step gentle, as if walking barefoot through morning mist. We will begin in the fields, where silkworms fed on mulberry leaves and human lives were measured in seasons. Then we'll follow the quill of Banzhao, the first female historian of China, whose voice, though soft, has echoed for 2,000 years. Next, we will descend into tombs veiled in jade, to explore the quiet mystery of ancient burials and the belief that death was not an end, but a transformation. And finally, we'll step into the palace to observe the emperor's court, where ritual, hierarchy, and silence shape the world from behind lacquered screens. Let us begin in the mulberry groves. Imagine it is spring. The earth is waking. You rise before the sun, not to birdsong, but to the wooden clack of your father's sandals on the packed earth floor. Your home is modest. Earthen walls, bamboo mats, a hearth of clay that still holds the warmth of yesterday's rice gruel. Outside, the morning is cool, thick with mist and the gentle, musky scent of dew settling on leaves. Your breath is visible, but the day's labor begins without complaint. You walk to the field's narrow terraces of mulberry trees, their leaves delicate, shimmering in the morning light like jade paper. This is where your family earns its livelihood, not by the plow, but by the worm. Dozens of wooden trays lie beneath the trees, carefully arranged, and on them, tiny, pale silkworms, resting, crawling, consuming. You kneel. Your fingers are practiced, gentle but firm, as you pick the youngest, most tender leaves, laying them across the trays in tidy rows. The silkworms rustle faintly, a sound so soft, it's almost imagined, like the whisper of parchment being turned in a scroll. The work is steady, repetitive, comforting even. And yet, there is always tension. A spoiled batch one bad night of temperature or humidity could ruin everything. The worms are sensitive, as are the men who purchase the thread. You are not a merchant. You are not nobility. You will never wear the silk you helped to create. But still your labor is a thread in the tapestry of empire. Each cocoon, spun by these silent, hungry creatures, is precious. And when the time comes, they will be boiled gently to unravel their silk. It takes hundreds, sometimes thousands of cocoons to make a single garment. Yet you do not dwell on this. You work. The sun climbs. The leaves diminish, and still the worms eat. Later, when the midday meal is taken, you sit in silence under a fig tree. Your mother brings millet, steamed greens, and a single salted plum. You eat slowly, not because you savor, but because you know the day is far from over. In the afternoons, you help spin raw silk into fine threads, or you assist with the dyeing, submerging the cloth into vats of crushed bark or fermented roots. The air smells sharp, chemical, ancient. By evening, your fingers are stained, your back aches, and yet you are proud because your work is clean and your place in the world, though humble, is clear. Somewhere far away, this silk will adorn a scholar in Luoyang, or perhaps it will travel the long road west traded for spices, horses, or glass beads. But here in your village, as the stars emerge and fireflies flicker like distant lamps, you return home. A basin of cool water waits. You wash your hands, you light a tallow candle, and you lie down on a mat that smells faintly of smoke and straw. Outside, the silkworms are quiet now, sleeping, digesting. And so too are you. Rest for tomorrow. The leaves will be waiting again. Now, let the scene change from the rustle of mulberry leaves to the slow, deliberate strokes of ink on silk scroll. Imagine a courtyard, still and shaded. The sky is pale with morning. There is no breeze. Only the soft scrape of bamboo brushes on parchment and the faint scent of pine-soot ink hanging in the air. You are in the home of Ban Zhao, a woman, born not to luxury, but to letters. Her father, Ban Bao, was a historian. Her brother, Ban Jiu, a scholar of imperial standing. And Ban Zhao was supposed to marry, bear children, and vanish quietly into the pattern woven for Han women. But fate and grief had other plans. Her husband dies young. No one expects her to remarry. But what they don't expect more is that she writes. She writes in silence, long into the night, by the light of oil lamps, while the rest of Luoyang sleeps. She continues her brother's unfinished chronicle, the Book of Han, a vast, sprawling account of the dynasty, its emperors, ministers, disasters, victories, eclipses, and omens. 50 years of politics, ritual, and reform, recorded with the calm, impartial tone of one who sees the shape of time. But her hand is not just steady, it is daring. She dares to advise the court. Empress Deng summons her, not for embroidery, but for counsel. Ban Zhao teaches the empress and her ladies not how to bow, but how to read. She speaks of propriety, yes, of obedience and virtue, yes, but also of the mind. She writes a treatise, Lessons for Women, not a rebellion, but not a surrender. It is gentle, measured, layered, like the folds of a scholar's robe. She writes of humility, but only after writing of wisdom. She urges silence, but only as a tool sharpened by reflection. Imagine her seated at her desk wrapped in plain robes, her hair in a tight knot, her expression unreadable. A clerk enters, bearing a letter from the court. She receives it, bows her head, then continues writing. The other officials do not quite know what to make of her. She does not shout. She does not demand. And yet, her influence spreads like ink through water. She reviews palace edicts. She shapes imperial curricula. And through it all, she remains calm, anchored, precise. Her voice never rises, but it is heard. Even now, 2,000 years later, her words remain copied, studied, debated, not because they burn with fury, but because they endure. Patiently, like roots beneath stone. By candlelight, her brush moves again. A final stroke. A dot. A seal pressed gently into crimson wax. And then silence. The pages are rolled. The work continues. Let us now descend from the quiet study of Ban Zhao to the silence beneath the soil. You may imagine the air cooling, the light dimming. A hush surrounds you, as though the very earth holds its breath. We are entering a tomb, not a crypt of horror or menace, but of ceremony, reverence, and belief. This is the resting place of a Han noble. The burial chamber is large, its walls sealed with tamped clay, insulated against the passage of time. Wooden beams, now blackened with age, once held lamps perhaps still. A trace of smoke lingers, and in the center, resting on a lacquered bier, lies a body, but not as flesh, clothed not in silk, but in stone. Thousands of thin, shimmering tiles, pale green, milky white, ochre gold, each one a piece of jade, each one carefully shaped and drilled, each one sewn together. With silk thread, or gold wire, or silver cord, depending on the rank of the deceased. It is a suit, a full-body encasement of jade. A mask covers the face, its expression serene and unknowable. Eyes, lips, hands, every part fitted with custom pieces, polished smooth as river stones. This was not armor. It was a prayer, a garment for eternity. To understand why, we must go back to the Han belief in the soul. They thought the soul had two parts: Hun, the light, the spirit, and Po, the heavy, the body's essence. Death separated them. But jade could hold the Po intact, keeping the body from corruption, keeping the soul whole. It was not just about wealth. It was about preservation, not of memory, but of identity itself. These suits were crafted by hand over months, even years. The tiles cut and polished, the holes bored with a tiny awl, the pieces laid out like a puzzle around a wooden model before ever being stitched. And the stitching mattered. Gold thread was for emperors, silver for princes, silk for nobles of lesser rank. All this for a body never to be seen again. And yet they were careful, so careful. Accompanying the body were objects: miniature servants carved in wood, stone pigs for prosperity, jade cicadas to place on the tongue, symbols of rebirth. A single bronze mirror lay face down beside the bier, to keep the spirits at rest. The tomb was then sealed, not with just a door, but layers, wood, earth, bricks, packed tight like memory itself. Centuries passed. Dynasties fell. Rivers changed course. Forests rose and were cleared again. And yet the jade remained. When archaeologists first uncovered such suits in the 20th century, they were astonished. The tiles still gleamed. The forms were intact. The stitching, in some cases, was still holding. Imagine uncovering a suit of stone tailored to a vanished body, a quiet echo of a belief long past. Even in death, the Han elite believed. They might remain untouched, not immortal, exactly, but preserved, contained, safe. Jade was not merely beautiful. It was incorruptible. And perhaps, as the ancients hoped, so too were their souls. Let us now return above ground, to the sun-drenched courtyards and shadowed house of the imperial palace, the center of it all, the heart of the Han world, the dwelling of the Son of Heaven. And yet, despite its grandeur, despite its colossal scale, you might be surprised by the stillness. The palace is not a place of noise. It is a place of quiet tension. Stone paths swept before dawn, curtains drawn just so, to temper the sunlight, steps measured, voices lowered, eyes averted. This was a world of protocols. And every person, every servant, every guard, every courtier was a part of that choreography. Imagine yourself here. You are not an emperor. You are perhaps a kitchen boy, a scribe, or maybe a eunuch. You wake before the sky lightens, in a quiet dormitory behind the hall of earthly tranquility. You dress quickly. Your robe is plain, but carefully folded. You eat little a bowl of millet, a sliver of salted plum, then hurry, without running, through the pillared corridors to your post. The palace complex stretches for acres walled, tiled, lacquered, adorned. Every surface is tended, every threshold watched. But inside the rhythm is hushed. It is not the roar of power, but the murmur of its machinery. The emperor may still be asleep, or he may be meeting with his mother, the Empress Dowager, in her private hall, where incense curls into the air like whispered intentions. To serve here is an honor, but it is also a danger. The wrong word, the wrong bow, an offense you didn't even know you made, these can undo years of obedience. You are always watched. And yet, you are invisible. The palace has its own seasons, not of weather, but of ceremony. The New Year, the ancestral rites, the grain offerings, the changing of robes. every ritual rehearsed, every participant assigned. The emperor himself may seem a ghost, rarely seen, even more rarely heard. His gaze is heavy, his word final. But he, too, is bound. He cannot choose freely. He cannot walk among the people. He must eat only what the food tasters have approved, speak only with the permission of his advisors, and take wives chosen more for alliance than affection. He is a figure of awe, but also a prisoner of form. The real power, at times, moves elsewhere. The Empress Dowager, seasoned and silent, with decades of palace memory behind her. Or the head eunuch, soft-spoken and feared, who knows which scrolls arrive, which whispers circulate. The eunuchs were a unique class, denied children, but offered influence. They served the inner court, and in time, they came to shape it. One, perhaps, controls the daily audience list. Another monitors the treasury. A third carries private letters between the empress and a favored prince. They do not speak often, but they remember everything. In one corner of the palace, a musician plucks the strings of a guqin. The notes rise and fall, filling the air like mist. A concubine listens, eyes closed. She has not seen the emperor in weeks, but she still paints her face each morning, just in case. She lives in a gilded cage that others would die to enter. Elsewhere, a scholar bends over bamboo slips, copying edicts in precise brush strokes. He has not spoken to his wife in months, but he records the words that will change thousands of lives. Time in the palace flows differently. Days stretch. Seasons turn softly. Ambitions ferment behind polite bows. And yet, there are gardens here, silent ponds where lotus leaves float, stone bridges curved like calligraphy, lanterns that glow in the evening, reflected in rippling water. There is beauty here, austere, controlled, but unmistakable. In the quietest hours of night, a few stars appear above the dark rooflines, and in that stillness you might hear nothing but the soft sweep of a robe or the wind moving through silk banners. This was the Han Palace, not just a seat of power, but a world of its own, bound by rules, built on silence, maintained by the unseen. And in that delicately balanced world, every breath, every glance mattered. And now, as we draw our journey to a close, let us drift once more through the corridors of memory. You have walked the narrow lanes of an ancient Chinese village, felt the morning chill as you stirred porridge over a clay stove, and listened to the rhythms of a life long faded. You have sat beside the weary scrolls of a wandering historian, watching him pen his story. With the soft scrape of brush against bamboo, you have descended into the whispered mysteries of tombs beneath the earth, where jade gleamed in the dark, and silence held stories the living had long forgotten. And you have wandered through the velvet stillness of the imperial palace, where even the most delicate step carried the weight of dynasties. Through each of these moments, the Han Dynasty has unfolded, not as a tale of emperors and battles, but as a breathing world of people, of places, of patterns and rituals, of quiet struggles and quiet grace. History, like sleep, does not always arrive with fanfare. Sometimes it settles in gently, in the warmth of a firelit courtyard, in the scent of polished wood, in the hush between one ceremonial bow and the next. Tonight, may these echoes linger with you, only as long as you wish them to. Let them fade softly, like calligraphy washed from silk. Let them become distant footsteps in a quiet corridor, a breeze through ancient trees. You are no longer in the village, nor beneath the earth, nor in the palace of the Son of Heaven. You are here now, surrounded by calm, safe, still. Let the past rest. Let your breath slow. Let your mind drift as gently as a boat on the yellow river at dusk. And in this quiet, perhaps sleep will find you, soft as a falling leaf, ancient as time. Good night.